네가 내 대신 얘 과외 선생님 좀 해주라. 영어. 기정이가 그렇게 손재주가 좋다며?
서울대학교 문서 위조학과 뭐 이런 거 없나? 아들아, 네가 자랑스럽다.
그 집 사모님이 뭐랄까.
실전은 기세야.
그동안 미술쌤도 여러 명 바꿔가면서 해봤는데요. 하나같이 한 달은 못 버티더라고요.
제가 사람 하나가 휙 하고 떠올랐는데.
어머, 너무 궁금하네요. 어떤 분이실까?
아 잠깐. 제시카 외동딸 일리노이 시카고 과선배는 김진모 그는 이사촌.
제시카 쌤이라고 일리노이에서 오신.
그 검은 상자를 저와 함께 열어보시겠어요, 어머니?
지금 진짜로 이상한 게 온 것 같아.
아버지, 계획이 뭐예요?
The Oscar has always been treated as the main award in world cinema, but in practice it always been directed at the North American productions. The percentage of the films from other countries getting recognition is still minimal, but the scenario has been changing year after year thanks to the progressive breaking of these barriers.
However, it is obvious the difference in the case of Bong and Parasite. The fact that Mexican filmmakers collect technical awards, including the category dedicated to foreign films, and do not receive the main award makes clear the idea that the Academy treats works from other countries as something different and perhaps inferior, as if they admitted their quality but at the end say, "Congratulations on your work, but we still prefer ours."
The victory of Parasite opens up a universe of interesting possibilities. After all, this is a good part of the Brazilian public still has a starting resistance to embrace European, Asian, African, and even South American artworks. The North American is also not a big fan of anything that requires a caption, something that Bong himself quoted in his speech at the Golden Globe. The scenario that has been drawn is the opening of Hollywood not only for South Korean works, but for the world's cinema in general. It wouldn't be difficult to imagine, for example, that in other times Park Chan work from Old Boy could have been success that Bong achieving on the awards night, as well from now filmmakers like the French Claire Denis, the Japanese Hirosako Koreeda, and the German Christian Petzold may also achieve the same recognition at the awards for mixing the cinema with this own aesthetic with a language that can be well seen by a large audience.
The same goes for the Brazilian Kleber Mendonça Filho, who already has an international name. Not only his last 3 feature films were released in Cannes and Bucharest left the festival as award-winning and has making a cinema that increasingly dialogues with larger audiences.
By the fact that the taste of the Brazilian public is still quite influenced by the American, it is also a real possibility that the cultural barriers that make us only watch Hollywood films will be gradually broken down. The victory of Parasite is an important milestone both to remind the US audience that there is cinema outside in their country, and to have to a future where the Oscar becomes something that, a few years ago, we did not imagine, an award that recognized cinema from a more global perspective. But after all, why did Parasite win the award for Best Picture? For that, we have to divide the film into parts.
The structure. The film follows a classic structure of 3 acts. They are: first, presentation of the family and their difficulties with a comic tone. Second, the first conflict creating a darker and stranger tone. Third, the resolution of the film concluding with a drama. What makes Parasite so interesting is that even following a basic form of giving its narrative, it managed to innovate with this mix of fleeing genres. Even when the film became into suspense or horror, still have thus comic relief and lots of irony. It all happens so naturally that we barely notice this mix of genres.
Who is the parasite? At the beginning of the film, we see the Kim family trying to steal someone else's Wi-Fi because the one that they were using before doesn't work anymore. Are they being parasites? When the father is 18, he complains about an insect. Is the insect a parasite? Then there's the whole family story lying to get a job, including taking other people's job for their own benefit. Are they being parasites? And the rich family who needs a driver to get around, who needs someone to cook their food, wash their dishes, who abuse their employers by asking for things that are not a part of their job. Are they being parasites? And there is the whole story about the basement guy who is clean living by someone else's costs. Then he also a parasite, and at the end of the film, Mr. Kim also lives at a house basement, parasiting new German residents there. He even said that they are never at home, but the housekeeper spends 24 hours of her there. The film does not make it clear who is the parasite of one, because Bo Joon-ho, the film's direction, believes that everyone is a parasite.
Full of hiding messages. Bong Joon-ho uses visible lines, light and shadow to tell secrets. For example, he uses levels to represent the social classes and to show the inequality between the upper and lower classes. The Park family is always at the highest levels of the shots, and often appears above the Kim family. The Park house is on a hill, while the Kim house is down the city in a basement. Besides that, the stairs represent the socialization. The Kim used them to ascend to the Park home, as well as the housekeeper and her husband to climb from the basement to the home. The lines between the rich and the poor are not always visible. When Mr. Park talks about crossing the line, the director puts a line between them, literally. Light also plays an important role in Parasite. The upper class is always lit up like the Park's house, while the lower class is dark, like the Kim's house and the basement. The same happens when the Kim family hides under the center table in the living room and the Park sleeps on the couch. The director also plays with the background to reveal some messages.
Like when the housekeeper does things behind her bosses. The movie posters also let this concept very clear. Another symbol used by Bong is the stone that Ki-woo gets a gift. At first, it represents his social ascension, but in the end, the same stone sends him back to the misery that he used to leave his family. The stone, in its turn, returns water, which is another element used to distinguish social classes. While the rich celebrate the rain, for the poor it represents the loss of their material goods. But perhaps the most important symbol in Parasite is the house. The rich live their lives without thinking of those who literally live below them. They are not even aware of its existence, which represents a lack of class consciousness.
The smell. The scent issue is another major point in the film that consequently ends up releasing intrigues in Mr. Kim over the plot. Starting with the little song saying that all employees of the house have the same smell, subjecting the smell of the poor. Throughout the movie, Mr. Park mentions that Kim's scent crosses the line and reminds him of the subway smell, the odor of the lower class, in one of the final and most decisive scenes in the plot, where Kim realizes that by the rich aisles, but he and the basement guy Jun say was miserable the same because of the same smell. The film leaves a very important message showing all members of the Kim family are extremely good in their jobs, but the lack of the diploma makes them appeal to falsifications so they can be seen with good eyes when it comes to getting the job of something they already are good at. The Park family, despite paying a fair value for the work received, demonstrates that they are unaware of their privileges. They fire long-time employers due to a series of misunderstandings which could be resolved with dialogue, and they also demonstrate hypocrisy, making fun of and sexually fantasizing about them.
Another important point is the fight between both poor families, where the Kims think superior than the family who lives in the basement. Both get a fight to see which family can enjoy the riches, giving once again to understand that who is below needs to manage to go up in life, even if you're stepping others. At the end, we have Mr. Kim use the same method as the basement guy to survive, going through everything that he lived. With that, we also have the letter that Kyu writes to his father, telling the plan of one day buy the house and save him. But it all falls apart to the viewer when we see that he's still in the basement, only that now in the darkness. After all that happened, he'll never be the same. All that part of him buying the house and living there is just a plan, a dream, but we know that he'll never probably be able to achieve that because of his social position, and now he even has a criminal record. That's why Bong Joon-ho plays the final plane that goes down from the ground floor to the basement, where Kyu is writing his letter. The rise that they tried did not work. They still go back down and steal the same plane where the movie started. They go back to the beginning. It's a cycle. Nothing helped it.